Of course. Comfortable? It has to feel right. Nothing else feels right today, so at least the sitting arrangements should. Good afternoon. I'm Rabbi Alon Lefkovich, Rabbi here at Temple Beth Am, where Jackie, Sam, Sarah, and a few years later, Rachel have been members forever. It was almost exactly, probably exactly 15 years ago when we came to this community. We had dinner at Rosa Mexicana, and then a nice blonde lady approached the table and asked if I'm the new rabbi at the temple. And she was all smiley and nice. I'm almost sure that you gave us also free dessert or the wonderful guacamole. And a few weeks later, I met Sam, and he scared me. He looked like a real tough guy. It was his low voice and his very serious demeanors. Just did not work out with his smiley wife. But soon later, I got to know him, and I realized how wrong I was. He was all but a tough guy, especially when it came to the women in his life. I saw him with first Sarah. You were, a year or 2 years old, a real baby. Then Rachel. And of course, with his mother, who used to be here a lot for all these preschool graduations at Bat Mitzvah and some others, and Jackie. I remember, Jackie, when you were sick and I visited you at the hospital. I met him outside. I don't know if he was just leaving or just coming with me. And he started crying. And it didn't work out. I thought that something was wrong with you. And he said, no, everything seems to be okay. But he said, I'm really scared. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. He said, you have to pray as hard as you can that she will be okay. And I promise to pray as hard as I can that you will be okay, and it seems to work, not because of my prayers, but because God had other plans and you are okay. But he didn't just use prayers and thoughts to show his love and care, his tenderness towards the people he loved. He really took care of you. When you were sick back then, when you hurt your knee, and of course, I saw him with these two wonderful girls. So much love, so much tenderness from a big, tough-looking guy. When we have suffered a great loss, the fabric of our lives is torn. What was once a whole and beautiful fabric now has a hole in it. And our response to loss is highly individual. Some of us may feel terrible pain. Some may feel numb. Some may feel certain relief at the end of a painful time. Some may feel guilt, or may feel a lump in their throat at words unsaid. Some may find it impossible to cry, and others will find it impossible to stop crying. Our tradition makes room for all expression of grief. Our sages teach us that there is no wrong way to grieve, and they taught us to be gentle with grieving. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel taught, there are three ways to mourn. The first is to cry. The second is to grow silent. The third is to transform sorrow into song. So whether you're crying or silent or transforming your sorrow to song, know that whatever you're feeling is exactly right. The psalm, the part of the Bible that we so often recite in memorial services, in funerals, is known as the 23rd Psalm. There are 150 Psalms in the Jewish Bible, but we like the 23rd on that occasion. This is the one that begins with the words, "The Lord is my shepherd." And we read it because in the middle of this short psalm, there is a line that says, "Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." And you're now walking very deep in this valley of the shadow of death. And it doesn't always feel so painful, especially now when there are families here, friends are here, a lot of support, a lot of good, funny stories, but you are in this valley. So we pray to God to help us through God's actions and through our friends and family to be able to get out of this valley eventually. Please don't rush. Take your time. You need time. We live in a society in which we're proud to do everything faster than we are supposed to. The doctor tells us after surgery to stay home for a month. We go to work after a week because we're supermen or women. Oh, that's you? Surprise. It doesn't work like that when it comes to grief. And this is serious grief because that shouldn't have happened. We did not expect it to happen. We did not have a long period of time to prepare ourselves. It happened and now we have to respond to it. Please take all the time in the world. Don't say I'm okay when you're not. Don't try to be too strong when you're not. Don't hesitate to lean on so many people who love you, who are here for you, because you were there for them when they needed. And I'm not talking only to Jack, I'm talking to all of you. And you already know because the first thing you did, Sarah and Rachel, was to ask the closeness and support of your friends, of your family. Keep doing it. Take as long as you need. The pain is going to be a little bit more bearable, but it's not a straight line. It's not that tomorrow you'll feel better than today and next week better. Ultimately, it will be a little bit better, but in 3 months you can find yourself just crying and crying because that's the nature of grief. It's okay. It's not because something is wrong with you. That's the way it works. You may even find calling your father, your husband, your son, your brother, just forgetting for a second that he's not going to answer. And this is okay too, because your brain is different. Probably have some Jackie experience with what some people call chemo brain. Grieving brain is quite similar. Acknowledge it and take the time and all the support you can. So let's read together the 23rd Psalm, if we can have the words. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Jackie, I'm not going to steal your stories. I'll just mention that you have known Sam since you were in 7th grade. The rest is yours to tell. I mention it because I want to read something that seems like was written for you. I miss you every day. I miss your smile and your company and the way you held my hand. I miss the smell of your hair on my pillow and the sound of your voice. I miss our conversations and even our arguments. I miss taking care of you, of holding you in my arms so tight that you almost seemed like part of me. The best part of me is gone. It's like a limb that's been amputated, and I keep reaching out to touch it, but all I feel is the cold air rushing between my fingers. And God, it hurts so much. But death cannot extinguish your memory, my love. I thank God for the life we shared. I will always treasure our days together. Your abiding love is my blessing and my comfort. May God take care of you and watch over you with gentleness and with love as you took care of me. May God guard you and protect you until the day when I at last find myself beside you once more. Amen. Thank you. Would you like to come and speak, Jackie?
All right, that was hard to follow, so just give me a second to compose myself.
Second,
Am I allowed to give you a hug? Let me just take a sip. All right, I'm going to try very hard to get through this. First of all, I want to thank all of my friends and family that literally had 1 day's notice to either leave a vacation or to cancel vacations or just fly like in the last second or drive very long distances to get here. And I'm looking for my friend TJ that did that. I know Sam has touched so many lives, and all of you being here or virtually is such comfort to our family. As the rabbi mentioned, Sam and I have known each other for a long time. Sam and I met in Edgemont High School in Scarsdale, New York. After talking to a lot of people this past week, I do want to make it clear, we were not high school sweethearts. I was in 7th grade, and Sam and his friends were big 9th graders, peeking in my math class to see all the new girls coming in. Definitely did not like this bunch at all. Actually, some of you are here today. Many of you are watching virtually. After time, I must admit, each and every one of you grew on me, and I'm thankful for the special relationships I had with every one of you. Since then, we became friends for life. I know life and distance gets in the way, and we do not see each other as much at all, or sometimes not at all. But we do connect by phone, text, or even these days, Facebook, and we're right back to how it was many years ago. We all hung out a lot and loved to get in a lot of trouble. That's for sure, but we had great times. Sam, usually the leader of the pack. During this, I have to admit, Sam and I had some very special relationships in our own lives, but always had a crush on each other. Years of hanging out, and then after about 2 years after starting college, we actually started dating. He was handsome. Well, he was hot. So funny, caring, and just instantly became my best friend. We ended up living together in a great, extremely tiny apartment, but had an amazing address, 85th Street, right off Central Park West. Couldn't beat it. Our apartment was so small that the mattress literally fit wall to wall. But we loved it because we loved each other. We did upgrade to a nicer apartment after we got married, but still stuck to the Upper West Siders. That was it. Upper West Side was our place. Then Sam's family slowly started migrating. Where do you ask? Well, where do all New York Jews go? Florida, of course. So after many visits, we decided to leave the cold winters of New York and live the beach life in Florida. Sam's dream was to live near the beach, get a dog, and get a Jeep. He got the dream. We got a beautiful condo, just a bike ride to the beach, got a dog named Abby. Additional dog story. I used to ride my bike with a special leash that allowed Abby to run next to me. That was my big training achievement. Sam's proudest moment with training the dog was, no kidding, one night me coming home from work, and he was on the couch and the TV was on, and he was so proud of himself. And he said, "Watch this." He turned the TV off, and Abby immediately got up and went to our bed. Sam trained our dog to hang out, watch TV, and when it goes off, it means go to bed. Pretty much where I guess we can call Sam's life, loves watching TV and taking a nap, going to bed. The next step to reality is we had been together for many years, and everyone was always asking why we had no children. My friend Sandra Grebo from New York is not here, and I hope she's watching virtually right now, but she played a major role in deciding for us to take on this huge next step. And the story probably should not go further than that for now, but Sandy, if you're watching, I know you are absolutely cracking up. That was one night to remember. But Sandy, I love you for it. Yes, we were ready, and it was the most wonderful decision in our life. I have another friend, Sandy, and I just can't see where everybody is. I met her as soon as I moved to Florida, who had a daughter, Whitney. We spent a lot of time with them, and Sam loved Whitney. He watched how she acted, her sweet, quiet demeanor, peacefulness yet calm playfulness, so he decided he wanted a girl. Thank you. And in fact, Whitney's so old now, she just had her first baby. Sam got his wish. Sarah was the perfect child. It was a long labor. It turned into an emergency C-section, but Sandy and our friend Gail Poltz were there by my side the whole time, calming Sam down, and mostly buffering my panicked mother, who arrived right before they were rolling me away. When Sarah was just a couple of weeks old, we went to the Hamptons, and I remember Sandra from New York, Tony and Bob, who Sam always calls Ash, who, by the way, are here and are my rock, and I can't thank you enough. Cousin Mary, Cousin Robin, my Aunt Marcia, my Uncle Sam, they all drove to the Hamptons to just go see this new baby. And Sam was so proud to show her off to everyone. Sarah was probably too perfect. She actually convinced us all babies are easy. So several years later, we decided to have another child. Sarah pressuring me did play a huge role, driving her to preschool every day with her asking me, no kidding, asking me every day to hatch her a brother or sister, like the chickens outside Miss Paula's office. So obviously she was extremely persuasive, but it worked, and yes, then came along Rachel. Due to my age, I knew some people would be a little surprised, and others may have been a little judgmental. I remember making a couple phone calls. I made one to Sandra in New York, Sandy, Florida, my dear friend CJ right here, and of course my cousin Denise. That involved being seated with a glass of wine in hand as I made the announcement. They were so happy, supportive, and there for Rachel and Sarah throughout their lives. Now, telling my mother was another story, which involved an email. I was hoping she wouldn't see it to the next day until she got to work so I could just enjoy my evening. I could imagine what she was going to say, but of course my brother called her. And as soon as he heard, he told her, and the first thing she said to Sam, "Why did you wait so long?" Well, it was expected, but it also was embraced since as soon as she met Rachel. Ricky, you became my mom the second I met you. I loved shopping sprees with you every time I visited Florida. And most of all, I know that Sam loved you so much, and I loved watching him with you. I know you're saying goodbye to your baby, your third son today. A woman that just turned 90 years old should never have to do that. But you are the most amazing grandma, and Sam wants you to be here for the girls, since they adore you so much. Dee Dee, Jess, it goes without saying, your brother adored you guys, even though you would drive him crazy at times, but it was just unconditional love forever. Sandra, Sandy, TJ, you were my best friends for many, many years. And you also became Sam's immediately as well. And each of you had your own different relationship with him. And there was so much love between you that it made it so special to me. It was just never about the girls. You had your own Sam time. And you all understood each other. And you were there for him through everything. The Paseos environment. I have a lot of great neighbors and friends that are here, and this has been the most amazing decision we ever made to move to Paseos. Sam and I brought our children up in this community, and I can't describe how it was a life changer. All my special neighbors became friends for life and are continuing to do everything to support us during the hard times we've had, through the past and now. On another note, we were lucky to form a special relationship with one of the older kids on our block at the time, Sierra Homer. She's a very bright and amazing girl. She started the Paseos paper, and I happened to save one from 15 years ago. Now, there was a lot of stuff about Sam, a lot of joking about how Sam was actually changing a light bulb for the first time. I can't go through all of it, but I'll give you a little blurb from one of her newspapers. And it says, Sarah Feldman, and this is when Sarah was just talking, of 118 Via Veracruz said, "Go Sox," helped by Sierra Homer of 120 Via Veracruz. We had an interview with Sarah's father, Sam Feldman. "Do you think that Sarah will become a Red Sox fan?" Sam was very adamant. "No, there is no other loyalty than the Yankees." "Do you think Sarah will ever say "Go Sox" again?" Sam said, "If she has nightmares." Then, what would happen if the Red Sox demolished the Yankees? Sam says, "It's luck." He was a big Yankee fan and still that New York Giants. That's all about him. Two things that were made clear in that moment. One, Sam was a diehard Yankees fan, And two, we clearly had a special relationship with our very dear neighbor, Sierra Homer, and I don't know if she's here or where she is. There she is. But you took care of Sarah when she was very young. You were very special, and I will have to add one little story. My mother was helping take care of Sarah. I was at work. There was a poopy diaper. My mother could not handle it. Sierra had to come to my house and change the poopy diaper because my mom was insisting I came home from work and I could not leave work. And you went over to change the poopy diaper and then you monitored the bath time. So Mom did have 2 kids. I guess she had a lot of help because she did not know how to take care of that baby, but you helped her when she was there. Nana did a lot of things, a lot of very special things for her grandchildren, but knowing how to do all the baby stuff definitely was not her forte. So thank you, Sierra. Jason and Sarah Rogers. What can I say to our absolute newest friends for a small 10 years? You know what you mean and meant to us, and how ultimately we ended up meeting you in more ways than you can imagine. Words will never express how much we both loved you and how thankful to have you in our lives. Sam was the most amazing dad. I cannot even begin to imagine how many diapers he changed or how many nights he stayed awake so I could sleep. These girls were his princesses. He was in love with each of them at first sight. They both knew this too well since they had him wrapped around their finger and they could do no wrong. I remember the first day I left Sam alone actually to take Sarah somewhere. It was Mommy and Me class at Gymboree, and I had to work, but I did not want her to miss the class. He told me it was amazing. He was so proud of himself to get Sarah dressed, which was very challenging for him, and bring the supplies and participated in class. The following Gymboree class I attended, the mothers could not wait to tell me how wonderful Sam was, but they had to share one fact that did not want to embarrass him. The one thing he was most proud of was how he dressed Sarah. Well, sorry to say, Sam, you had her whole outfit on inside out and backwards. But that was my Sam. Sam had funny and loving impacts around all he met. His birthday was just 2 weeks ago, and I have to share a letter that one of my youngest daughter, Rachel, one of her best friends, wrote to Sam on his birthday. And he took carpool every day picking them up from school, so they had a very close relationship. And she wrote a card, "Happy birthday, Sam. Great father, funny, lovable, and fun." Gotta remember, this is an 11-year-old girl writing to somebody else's dad. "Dear Sam, you are a great person because you make me laugh, smile, and you make me happy. When you are in the car driving home from work, your jokes make me laugh and they make me feel so happy. You are a great father to Rachel and Sarah. I do not know what your secret is to being funny, lovable, and fun. But whatever it is, keep it up because it's working. Adrian, I don't know where you are, but God, I love you. Thank you." None of this makes sense. Sam adored his daughters. I know he loved me. We were about to celebrate our 30th anniversary this September. We were working on plans to surprise the girls. We were going to renew our vows. So they were going to be flower girls at a beach wedding, with me wearing my original headpiece, knowing I would never attempt to get into my wedding gown. But my cousin Denise did get to use it right after I got married, so I did get a second shot, and my dream was to see Sam walk his daughters down the aisle in that same dress. He will be there for sure. But let's not rush it. I can be angry, I can be sad. I cannot understand why this happened. It hurts so much. But I know one thing for sure is that Sam surrounded himself with girls, even down to a female dog and a female bunny. He knows how strong we are. Sarah, Rachel, we are Feldman girls. We will be okay. We will have Dad with us always. And we will make him proud and get through this together. I love you so much. And Dad is looking down and is so proud of the both of you, and will look at you and be proud of you forever. I will miss you, Sam. I will miss our talks, hugs, laughter, tears that we shared, that I thought I would share for many more years. You were taken away too soon. It's not fair. I love you. Thank you, everyone, for sharing this extremely hard day. And I know each of you have your own grief. Sam touched many. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you. It was beautiful. And thank you for revealing all the family secrets to all of us. But you feel that you're among family here, so why not? Thank you. The next two speakers will be Sam's good friends. First, I would like to invite Bob and then Anthony.
If I stand still, I'll break down and I'll cry. Okay, my name is Bob. I've known Sam for 50 years, but before I start this little conversation, I will say this. Jackie said that they were not childhood sweethearts. They were totally infatuated with each other in high school. And I mean obvious. You know, Jackie had a boyfriend, Sam had a girlfriend, and they were so hot for each other, and it just built up until after they graduated. So go figure, man. It was meant to be. The other thing is my working draft was all about these people right here. And I pulled it, but the working draft probably was, whatever. It was too heavy. So I've come up with something that's called the Tao of Sam. I believe Sam's here in spirit. It's probably a good thing he's not here in person, because we would all kill him. But afterwards, we'd give him the biggest hug in the world because we miss him so much. I met Sam in 1970, over 50 years ago, and it didn't take long to become fast friends with him. There were never any airs, no pretensions, never any hoops to jump through. Friendship with Sam was as easy as is, because that's who he was. Easygoing, a sailboat on a still lake. He was gentle, and he was kind. And he had a prophetic wisdom and ability to cut through whatever subject and to sum up in just a few perfect choice words the heart of the matter. I'm going to tell a story, but I'm not going to bore you with all the details. Instead, I'll try to distill the essence of it. This happened 20 years ago, but I still remember Sam's sentences verbatim, and the tribute of his words that their essence was non-judgmental, even though his brief, short sentences were pretty damning. One time, somebody called me up and left a really weird message on my answering machine. And I'm as guilty as anybody of leaving strange, rambling messages on answering machines that I instantly regret as soon as I hang up the phone. Anyway, this was a weird one, so I shared it with Sam specifically to get his take. And this is what he said. You know what's fucked up about that? And I asked a question in return. Everything? And he said, no. And then in 6 words, he said something that I had not even thought of. 6 words. They were damning words, but they were funny. Not because there was a joke in it, a punchline like Tony likes to create, but just because they were funny. And above all, even though they were a bit harsh, there was no judgment. None. That sentence had a word that Sam used twice, back to back. And it happened to be the word that this very person had once used when he went to humiliate me a couple of years earlier. So, of course, I tell Sam the story of my humiliation. And after I finish, Sam asks a rhetorical question. It had no answer. But I was confused by it. I didn't even understand it. So I asked him about it. And again, without judgment, and he throws out a 5-word sentence. Another bit of damning commentary, but again, without judgment. As if he was saying, the sky is blue. An elemental truth. Just 5 words. They rocked my world. So I asked, you think? And he said, I don't think. I know. How do you not know? He was genuinely confused about the extreme level of my total ignorance. Ignorance, as it turned out, had been over 3 decades in the making. Any pride I had in my intellect at that moment was rendered dust. But that was because I was in the presence of the Tao of Sam. Another thing about Sam, and this is something that we're all aware of, and I will tell those of you who might not know it that it was always there, from the earliest age, and that is that Sam was simply cool. Laconically cool. I'll take that a step further. Sam was chill. Not chilling, which he did with professional expertise, but chill. To go along with this chill psychological trait was that he was always handsome. But I will say that back in the day, when we were teenagers and in our 20s, Sam was really good looking, like he was ripped from the pages of GQ. I'll tell you another story. I remember once we were at the beach, and we were standing a little bit up from the water's edge, and Sam had that killer tan, that crazy thick black hair, his features that looked chiseled from some dark stone. Just really handsome, you know? Sam's wearing a swimsuit and a pair of shades. And let me just go off on a tangent here, a bit of discourse, and say there are few people who wore sunglasses like Sam did. I always thought if the designers of any of those sunglasses he wore saw a picture of him wearing their sunglasses, that would simply be their entire advertising campaign. And they would be so happy to know that something they designed and created worked so damn well. Anyway, people are walking by in between. First time with a mic, by the way. Usually get other people to sing my songs. People are walking by in between the Atlantic and us, one after another. And they're looking up at Sam. Especially the women and the girls who pass us by. I have a theory that all women instinctively know handsome and chill. And it's funny in a way, because as they would pass by, some of them actually turned around to look at Sam. I'm standing right there, you know what I mean? I can see who they're looking at, you know? Whatever, you know? But Sam's got his shades on, so you can't see where his eyes are. You know what I mean? But you could tell where he was looking. He was looking out at the ocean. The wide expanse of that vast ocean, taking it all in, smoking his cigarette like he didn't have a care in the world. Maybe it was too easy for him, that he had to make it difficult. I don't know. But the sailboat on that calm lake was actually over a tempest of dark swirling water, because he had made the mistake in his past to dance with the euphoria that ruins, that kills. The last time I was here for Sarah's bat mitzvah, me and Sam had a long talk in the hotel suite, and he confided in me, as he had never done, about the darkness. As always, it was short, brief, agonizingly to the point. Just one sentence, 11 words. He was looking past me. He was looking past the room. There was fear in his eyes, a desperation. He was scared. He knew its secret, that its siren call never goes away. Decades can pass. Grace can happen in his life again and again. He said, "The addiction is so powerful, bro. You have no control over it." He was clean and sober, happy beyond words, so proud of his 3 girls. And he was still very, very worried. So very worried. A number of years ago, I saw an interview with a Buddhist monk who volunteered at hospice. In this interview, the monk said, "There are 2 questions that everybody who is dying asks. Am I loved? And did I love well?" Well, Sam, you were dearly loved and you always loved well. And now that peace has finally found its place with you, your grace, your wisdom, and your many, many blessings that you shared with us are now carried like a torch in our hearts, forever and always.
Is this one okay?
Wow. Any event. Good afternoon. I'm Tony Tarracone. I'm one of Sam and Jackie's oldest friends. I sort of feel like Sam did this, so I'd have to say that. In any event, I'm not that old. Oh, shall I start over? Wow. I have to say, when Jackie asked me to say something about Sam at his funeral, I was honored, and it was an honor I never wanted. However, when we grew up, I happily accepted all the other honors that came along with being Sam's friend, like the honor of going to the Feldman's house, the most comfortable house in the world, where Mrs. Feldman always had a stocked refrigerator and Dee Dee and Jesse would give you free abuse. The honor of being friends with Sam for over 50 years, hard to believe. The honor of playing football with him in high school. The honor of double dating with him with our now wives, BC. That's before children. The honor to share a bachelor party together because we were married just a month apart. The honor to have Sam as an usher at my wedding. However, this is an honor, as I said, that I never wanted, but I do believe that it's important for his beautiful children, Sarah and Rachel, to hear. Sam's purpose for living was his girls. If you'd give Sam a call, you'd get a rundown about Jackie, Sarah, and Rachel. He couldn't have been more proud. And when I think about Sam, I see him in these ladies. Sam was always the center of fun. He could do this by a pull or a draw. He didn't do it as a push or a drive, to Bob's point of him being chill and cool. Now, let's not get crazy. I'm not saying that Sam was quiet, but I will say that he was magnetic. He drew people to him. They just wanted to be near the flame. Sarah, that's you. There's another thing about Sam. It's his generosity and selflessness. Whatever he had, he shared. If you were in need and Sam had it, he'd give it to you. This so reminds me of Rachel, who gave away her hair to help others during a pandemic. Rachel was able to touch people when touching was taboo. This is just like Sam. Death is so funny. For Sam, everything's fine. He's at peace. For the rest of us, we're unsettled. Let's celebrate what Sam gave us, not his loss. If he were here, and I dare say he is, he'd be saying, move on. Don't dwell on me. Be happy. Enjoy life. Do it for me. Miss you, Sam. I love you.
Thank you, Bob, Tony. I would like to invite you, Denise, please.
Sam, the words I would use to describe you are ladies' man, but not in the way that some of you are thinking. Unlike most men out there, Sam had a gift for gab. He could talk and would talk to anyone. I was blessed to be in Florida this winter and got to spend incredible quality time with the Feldmans. One of the most memorable experiences I had was a day that I had a Zoom call canceled, and I invited Sam to lunch. It was so much fun. It was like going out with your girlfriend. I had the chicken Caesar salad, and Sam had a burger. I know you're really surprised about that. My mom used to say, if you ate something enough, you would turn into it. Well, I think Sam is looking down on us in the form of a hamburger. But back to my story. Sam brought so many gifts to those of us in his life. That big smile just lit up a room, and he was a conversationalist in the best sort of way. He didn't just talk about himself. He cared about you. He was kind, he was empathetic, he was the most loyal friend and family member you could ask for. But what I really mean when I say he was a ladies' man is that he lived for the women in his life. Jackie, you have been through too much difficulty for somebody your age. And I know Sam was your life partner. I promise he will continue to be. He will be chatting and he'll be giving you advice. But most importantly, he will do what he did so well with you. He will be listening for the rest of your life. Because as he used to say to me, it was really hard to get a word in edgewise with you. And Sarah and Rachel, the sun rose and set on you. Your dad loved you as much as humanly possible. He was proud of you every minute of every day. And even when you might have done something he wasn't happy about, he took it in stride and loved you unconditionally for the amazing women you are and you will continue to grow up to be. It doesn't make sense. Life doesn't make sense. And I wish I could bring him back for all three of you and for all of us. But I want you to look around you and know that all these people and the people on Zoom are by your side. And Sam and Dad and your husband, he's never going to leave you. He's never going to leave us because he's a part of everything you are. So, I love you.
Thank you. Ready, Rachel?
To my dad, I already miss you. Times are getting harder without you in just a short amount of time. And I don't know what I'm going to do without you for the rest of my life. I love how you raced me up to bed every night just to make me excited to go up on a school night. You were always there for me, even if I needed you for the dumbest reasons. I love you. I love how you gave me hugs every second of my life. And I love even if we both felt sick, then you'd always care about me. You made me feel like the most important thing in the whole entire world. I'm really gonna miss you, and I hope you rest peacefully. I love you.
Thank you, Rachel. It was beautiful. I don't know where you found the courage and the strength to stand here. Almost 12 years ago, you were here as a baby when we did your baby naming here on this bima. Your parents did not want just something normal or regular. They wanted a different kind of a service, so we did it as part of religious school services. It was a lot of fun. And soon you'll be here again on a much happier occasion. Wow. So you saved the date. April 8th, 2023. Take out your cell phones. Start the app of the calendar and put it there. 10 o'clock or 4 o'clock? Evening service, 4 or 4:30. What's on the menu? Now I'd like to ask you, please, if you're able to rise. As we conclude this service with two prayers. The first one is El Malei Rachamim, that I will chant first in Hebrew and then we'll read it in English. In this prayer, we ask God to receive Sam, to invite Sam to stay with God forever. אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים. המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, אם קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים. את נשמת סנדר שהלך לעולמו, בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. God of abundant mercy, God most high, may the soul of our loved one who has entered eternity find a gift of perfect peace in your embrace, together with the holy and pure whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold Sam close to you forever, so that his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. May Sam find a home with you, and may he rest in peace. And together we all say, Amen. And we conclude with the mourner's prayer, the Kaddish. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה. בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. And that prayer concludes our service. I know that all of you have been just invited to an event 2.5 years from now, or a year and a half from now, but before that you are also invited to the house right now, right? Thank you all for being here.